Good morning from Coburg, Germany.
We are so excited to be here in Coburg. We've both been, but not together.
It's been 20 years for me.
Yeah, and not when it's snowing. And we are right in front of Veste Coburg, which is the big family castle of the Saxe-Coburg family. And they are important in history because they married into a lot of European noble families, including the most important, Prince Albert, who you probably remember married Queen Victoria. So this is his birthplace, not the castle, but the city of Coburg. And we're going to go visit the castle first, and then we're going to take you along when we go down to the city center and visit what else? The Christmas market. So stay tuned and come along with us. So you can get a cab direct from the train station, which is what I recommend because this is way up on a hill. Can't really see it today because of the weather. And then you'll have to walk up this last little hill, but it's not a bad one. And there's the castle up there. This is, I believe, one of the largest, if not the largest, German castle. This is also, I think, one of the most impressive approaches to a castle. It's so pretty walking up to it. Mark just said this looks like a scene out of Game of Thrones. It kind of does. Like we're approaching some ancient city, going into the gate. In the summer, this is a beautiful place to come out, have a beer, look at the scenery. This morning we're going for coffee and apple strudel. That is a good looking strudel with Neapolitan ice cream and whipped cream and chocolate. How can it go wrong? And cappuccino. Makes Mark a happy camper.
Absolutely.
There's just nothing like being in a German castle when it's snowing. So now we're gonna go buy a ticket to go in and see the castle. This is a huge castle, like I mentioned before, so plan to spend several hours here if you wanna see it thoroughly. They have proof of people living on this hill since the Neolithic period. But the castle itself, the first parts of it were built in the 10th century. So it's also one of the most well-preserved castles, especially from that time period. Up on the wall now. It's a little bleak and desolate up here in the winter. This would have been a horrible duty. This would have been a horrible duty to have in the winter. So this is an overview of the castle here in this model. You can see how enormous it is. This is where we came in over here. This is the big courtyard where I filmed earlier. And this is the part of the walls that we walked along outside. But there are covered ramparts that go all the way around to the other side as well. So we've entered the castle. This is the starting point. You can see, we're right there. We have all of this to see. So this was the overlook for the prince, princess, king, whoever, to look into the chapel. So they could attend services and not sit with the little people. Another bathroom adjacent to the guest bedroom, and they had bidets even then. This is the reading room. I guess they would have sat over here where they had light from this big window. This is called the hunting room, also known as the horn room. It was commissioned in 1564, I believe. It took more than 60 years to complete. Clearly more than one craftsman was working on it. In 1530, after being excommunicated by the Pope, Martin Luther came here and stayed in these rooms for 6 months, where he continued his work on translating the Bible into German. So if you love glass and crystal and porcelain, when you're in the Martin Luther room, come follow the sign and come through this corridor. It's cold in this part, but it's kind of out of the way, so don't miss it. Oh, and I don't remember the buttons and stuff here. Are they buttons? Pins?
Medallions.
This is the glass collection museum here in the castle. If you love glassware and porcelain, crystal, you definitely don't. Mark loves this stuff. You definitely don't want to miss this. It's pretty impressive. Marie Alexandrova, who was the daughter of Tsar Alexander II, donated over 1,100 pieces to this collection. And she married into the family. I believe it said one of the grandsons. The son of Victoria.
And Prince Albert.
The son of Victoria and Albert. This was the banquet hall. Today it is used to display the collection of armor, some tapestries. I love all the attention to detail in these pieces.
That was cast.
Yeah, this is cast iron, and it's a huge heater for this banquet hall. And we don't see an opening, so we think it must have been fed from behind the wall,
Yes.
which was pretty standard practice here.
Now what they did is they filled this with mini bombs with shrapnel. So what you've got is you've got mini balls that had gunpowder in them and they're pegged. But you can see the stars in there where they put shrapnel in there. They also put rocks. And then they topped it with a gunpowder and charge, which they would light. And then they would roll it at the enemy.
We've all seen these in movies where the nobility sits inside and they're carried on the shoulders of servants. Well, there's a legit blizzard outside. So in the spring, we walked down from here, but we had them call us a cab. He's going to come right to the front door outside because it's steep hills in some parts and it's very slippery. But while we're sitting here waiting for a cab, I thought I'd do a quick wrap up. It was €8 per person admission. There is no audio guide. They do have guides in every room or section that are in both German and English, so you know what you're looking at. We've been here not just under 2 hours. We probably would have gone slower and spent a little more time towards the end if it hadn't been snowing so much. We were worried about being able to get off the mountain, so plan on at least 2 hours. And one thing I did want to mention is I had said before that if you liked glass, to be sure and not miss that exhibit. And the only way to get through it is through the Martin Luther room. But also, even if you have kids with you or you're just not interested in the glass, you want to go through that section so that you can get to the other side where you'll find armor and armaments and weapons. And it's really interesting. It's one of the best collections of armor and weapons that I've seen anywhere in Europe. So make sure that you don't miss that part.